I have coffee usually. I wouldn't be averse to the tea bag being left in. I wouldn't see it as like a cardinal sin like some would. Hello everybody and welcome to Sunday's Agenda with myself, Sean Bradbury and Theo Squires here to my right. We're going to do things slightly differently today and of course look back a little bit at Arsenal yesterday, mainly through looking at Joel Matip's performance. But what we want to do, we want to leave this room in 10 or 15 minutes or so with the definitive top 5 of Liverpool's best ever free transfer signings, which we're now of course going to make the case for Joel Matip, shooting up that list a little bit. Let's start with Joel Matip then, Theo. You were at Anfield yesterday in the press box for the Echo and your analysis pretty much concerned Mr. Matip and what a storming start he's had to the season. 2 goals in 4 games. He's a 1-2 man nowadays, is Joel. Talk us through what you think's changed with him. I mean, is it simply the case of playing alongside Virgil van Dijk and what that does to you? I kind of feel like obviously there's an element of that and the team's grown around Matip a little bit. You know, it's a much better side now than it has been across it's his 4th season, isn't it, across his entire time at Anfield. But is it, you want to give him a little bit more credit than just saying you're playing alongside the best centre-half in the world? Like, what do you think's changed in Matip's game?
He's looking a lot more confident. I suppose that comes from stability of actually playing and knowing the shirt's your own. Like, I think all 3 of the Liverpool defensive options who play alongside Van Dijk have looked at their best when they've had that clear run of games. Like Joe Gomez was superb first half of last season. Dejan Lovren was obviously exceptional when Liverpool went to that first Champions League final. And now Joel Matip's had half a season alongside Van Dijk. And you're going to be more confident playing games. And when you can build that relationship, that partnership with Van Dijk and your fullbacks either side and the goalkeeper, you're going to look better. With Matip, he's always been a bit shaky. Regular listeners of the podcast will know I'm not the biggest fan of him. Connor Dunn isn't either. We've always said prefer Joe Gomez. But there's something different about him this season, and that is that confidence. There's still those meandering runs forward, the stuff that you wince at, and you look, he's not going to get back quickly enough. But I think that influence from Van Dijk's rubbed off on him. Like playing for Liverpool, he's realised he's got a fight on his hands, and it's helped players reach these higher levels. And that's what you do when you've got the world-class players alongside you. Like we've seen it time and time again over the years. Like Luis Suarez, think how much they got, an extra 5% from his teammates. In the defence, it looks like Van Dijk's having the same impact. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And I always thought, like, you look at Lovren, he was a little bit hard done by because he came from a Southampton team where it was quite a defensive setup, wasn't it? They had the kind of double pivot in front of them, so he always had a bit of protection. And like in his early days at Liverpool, having only kind of an aging but still brilliant Gerrard ahead of him, it wasn't the best. But like, you look at how Liverpool operate now, and whilst we're not a defensive team by any means, there's a kind of grafting midfield ahead of you. You've got Van Dijk alongside you, obviously the 2 fullbacks we all know about, fantastic players. Alisson behind you, albeit not at the minute. It's a good setup. It's kind of a good time to be a centre-back at Liverpool. So second question on Matip then before we move on. Do you think, I know it's early days in the season and we'll chop and change, Liverpool will rotate, of course they'll have to, given all the competitions they're in, but is he first choice centre-back now alongside Virgil? I think yes. I think he's done enough to show that he is. Before, it's always been the partner is the man in possession of the shirt.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit something more about him. Like, so far this season, Van Dijk hasn't been at his best. I think we can all quietly agree on that. He's not been poor by any means, but we've seen him play better. And Matip has outshone him at times. Like, there were times yesterday, I think the one moment that stands out for me is when Aubameyang had that chance when he was almost one-on-one.
Oh, yeah.
When he got him behind the defence. I had a very animated Ian Doyle next to me screaming he's offside. Obviously, the flag didn't come. And then Matip looks over, sees the flag's not coming. And there's just this amazing burst of speed from him to get back. And it's not something you usually associate with him. He's not the quickest defender on Liverpool's books. And this is against one of the quickest strikers in the league. And he's got back. He's not even had to go to ground to win the ball. He's just nicked it off his toes. Danger's gone. You think that is a rise in his ability. He is the man in possession of the shirt, but he's made a proper claim to make it his own long term, the same as Lovren did before him and Gomez did before him. Absolutely.
Well, if you haven't read it yet, go and have a read of Theo's piece from yesterday. As it concludes, Joel Matip can now claim to have the song. We watch him defend, we watch him score.
Yes.
He's
2 in 4, is it?
Yeah, he's doing very well.
Best scoring season for a club.
Absolutely. Right then, well, we've made the case for Matip and how good he's been, how central he is to the team in the minute. He's a Champions League winner. Let's start at the top then. I think we best start with number 1 and work backwards with this. I think Matip breaks the top 5. We're probably going to make the case for him being the 3rd best free transfer Liverpool have had, but number 1, I think we're both in agreement on number 1. It's got to be James Milner.
Yeah, when you look at all these great free transfers Liverpool have had, Milner's the one who's been there the longest. He's had the most responsibility. He stepped up with big goals, and he was there in Madrid. He's won the Champions League. He's delivered so many times, and I think those eyes were raised when Liverpool signed him. I think it was James Milner, given the number 7 shirt, and he's just proven all the doubters wrong. He's getting better with age, and he keeps delivering. His contract's up in the summer, and you're not thinking, oh, Liverpool should let him go. He's getting on a bit. You're thinking you could probably get another 4 years out of him, even as a squad player. He's exceptional. Yeah,
180 odd games. I think 22 goals for the Reds. Played that season at left back, didn't he?
Assists as well. So many assists.
Loads of assists.
That Champions League record.
Yeah, phenomenal. Kind of pretty much the man from the spot. And I think if he's still on the pitch, he takes the pens, doesn't he? And he's great record there. So, yeah, we're giving him the number 1 spot. Number 2, I think, is where you could maybe make a case for Joel Matip. I think if he carries on like he is, he'll maybe crack that number 2 spot. But Gary Mack still the man there.
Yeah, still Gary Mack. Until last season, he was still number 1, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So many memories. You remember the Barcelona penalty, the Everton winner. So vital for that run where Liverpool won the treble and qualified for the Champions League. And that was really the start of modern Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Having those European nights. And we love his baldy head, don't we? Gary Mack is exceptional. Imagine if we'd had him 10 years earlier.
I remember that was the feeling at the time, wasn't it? That initial season that he came in. And even the second season, I think he played the best part of 40 games and Liverpool finished second, didn't he, behind Arsenal? And he was still a big part of that. But yeah, what a wise old head coming into that squad was exactly what everyone needed. And I think you're right. Not only did he have an effect for those 2 campaigns, I think what the likes of Gerrard and others will have learned from playing from him and the professionalism that he had after such a distinguished career. I think that unites those 2 guys, doesn't it? Milner and Gary Mack. It's an instant impact, and brilliant things on the pitch for two fellas who are kind of in the latter stages of their career, should we say? But the effect that they've had on the squad around them, and especially the youngsters, just great characters in the dressing room as well, by all accounts.
So we're saying that James Milner might be Trent Alexander-Arnold's assistant manager one day.
Not a bad shout, not bad. You heard it here first from Theo Squires on the agenda. Yeah, I can see that happening. So Milner number 1, Gary Mack number 2. Matip number 3. Are we giving him that now?
He's been there long enough. He's won the Champions League. I think when you look at the other 3 transfers on this list, they haven't got the silverware.
Yeah,
Matip, whilst he's not been first choice for that whole period, it's a bit harder to judge him in the moment. But I think when you come back a few years' time and you're looking at it, you're going to remember the players that have won the trophies. So Joel Matip probably edges it for now.
Okay, so there's our top 3. I think when you're narrowing this down to 5, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I'll read some of the contenders that we've kind of we've touted, and then we'll try and get these 2 spots nailed. But Fabio Aurelio's up there, Markus Babbel, Jari Litmanen, perhaps Bolo Zenden, Maxi Rodriguez is another. I think has got solid claims. We've also put maybe slightly more romantically Robbie Fowler and Kolo Touré.
Craig Bellamy,
yeah, he could absolutely be in contention. I think we can probably narrow this down to Aurelio, Maxi, and Babbel. So who jumps out for you there to take the 4th spot?
That's a tough one. Let's go with longevity again. Fabio Aurelio is up there. He would definitely be in if it hadn't been for injury. He's stepped up and he's got some big moments in his Liverpool career, some big wins. Like he's played in quite a few against Arsenal. He was actually at the game yesterday,
was he?
So he's still got that connection with the club, with the fans. And I just think of like that cross for Peter Crouch. When he got the perfect hat trick.
Yeah.
The free kick against Chelsea in the quarterfinal, even though they ended up losing. Obviously scored at Old Trafford. It's just a shame that he was made of like paper.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. He had such a good left foot on him. He was a man for a big occasion as well. And when Liverpool had that amazing spell under Benitez, he was pinnacle to that.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think you can argue with that. 130 odd games, I think 6 goals. Let's
not forget the one against Bolton.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Bit of an early man in an early team, but like you said, that's not his fault. His injury record was just very unfortunate. I think I'll go with you there. We'll give him the number 4 spot. So, are we saying it's a straight scrap between Markus Babbel and Maxi Rodriguez for number 5?
This is the one we disagree on, isn't it?
Yeah, go on. Make your case for who you'd go for?
I'm going Maxi Rodriguez because again, you look at these players like we said, Bellamy, Fowler, Zenden, Litmanen.
Yeah,
they're all good names. They've all done stuff for the club, but they weren't at the club for very long. Like Jari Litmanen, he had his moments. That brilliant goal against Tottenham, for example.
Yeah,
but it was only a year and a half he was there.
I think so.
Fowler, it's the romance, but what he did was 10 years before that. Zenden's played in Champions League final, of course, but he's another who maybe got screwed over a bit by injury, if I'm allowed to say that. And then Bellamy, he had a great second season when he came back. Obviously, got the goal that got Liverpool to the League Cup final against Man City, set up the winner for Andy Carroll in the FA Cup semi-final, but he didn't want to stick it around for another season, went back to Cardiff. And it's one where almost there. They just didn't do enough. It was Maxi Rodriguez. Again, he wasn't there for maybe the longest period, but he was a quality player. I think we had, 2 years out of him, 2.5, something like that?
Yeah.
He was involved in that run to the League Cup final, scored some memorable goals. We all remember his hat-tricks. Some great goals in that as well. Loved going to Stamford Bridge, and he's got one of the best chants we've heard at Anfield in the past decade. So let's go Maxi.
You make a good case. And chant, I have to give you that. That was phenomenal. He certainly had a great purple patch when he got those hat-tricks, and I think it's 17 goals in almost 80 games. It's not a bad record for a player who's in and out the side, but I think my argument, my pro Markus Babbel argument would be simply show us your medals. I think in a similar amount of games, he had more of an impact on the team. Was kind of a roving attacking right back who felt like a little bit ahead of the curve. That, obviously now that's kind of what all top clubs look from their fullbacks. And like you kind of think, I think Trent's a little bit kind of in his image and a bit of a trailblazer in that respect. Yeah, I just think his role in the treble season was phenomenal. Very unfortunate what happened to him with injury afterwards. And I think if we're allowing Aurelio in, despite his patchy injury record, I think we've got to make room for Markus. But I don't think this is one we're going to agree on. So how are we going to settle this?
Let's debate it a bit more first. I think with Markus, best moments, scoring at Goodison.
Yeah.
Scoring in the UEFA Cup
Which
final.
Obviously counts, massively in his favour.
What else is there?
For Babbel, I don't think you need much more than that.
That's enough, is it?
Yeah. Especially for a fullback. I think he got he popped up with 5 or 6 goals in his time, and I just think if you've got that medal haul and you were part of that season, which for me, prior to Klopp, and obviously 2005 was absolutely phenomenal. But that I still look back on that season as probably the most enjoyable I've had as a Red. It's this is a whole other agenda entirely, but that's probably still, after last season and obviously the Istanbul season, it's probably my 3rd favourite season supporting the club. And obviously, Babbel was a huge part of that. So I just think he's when in the midst of time, when we're having this debate again in a few 5-10 years time, I think
couple of weeks.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I just think Babbel will win out just because he's part of stronger and happier and memories that involve more silverware than Maxi, albeit I do give Maxi a fair bit of credit.
I'm going to be controversial here and say the only reason Babbel is rated so highly is partly because of what he achieved before he came to Liverpool, and you could probably say that for the likes of Litmanen as well. So you think, well, he's played for Bayern Munich, he's played for Germany, and he's got success there. And yes, granted, that probably counts for Maxi Rodriguez as well. You remember how good he was for Atletico. But if you're looking back at these players when they retire, Maxi's got that goal in the World Cup for Argentina. And he's still going strong in Argentina now at 38, 39 years old, having gone back to New Old Boys for the 4th time. You got to love the romance there.
No, I'll give you that. I mean, I think this is a high score.
Have we got many Argentinian viewers?
Well, we'll soon find out.
They're backing me, aren't they? So.
I don't think we're going to agree.
No, we're
so
not.
For the purposes of the agenda, let's rock paper scissors this.
How do we get this around the microphones?
We'll just go for it. Okay. Are we saying on 3?
On 3.
Straight up best of 1.
Okay.
All right then. 1, 2, 3. Well, there you have it.
Maxi
Rodriguez is the 5th best free transfer, just pipping Markus Babbel into 5th. Right, top 5 then. James Milner, number 1. Gary McAllister, number 2. Joel Matip, shooting up the charts, number 3. Number 4, Fabio Aurelio. And number 5, Maxi Rodriguez. That is our top 5. Feel free to get involved. Send us your feedback on the Blood Red podcast group. Tweet Theo, tweet myself if you think we've missed anyone or been a bit unfair to anyone. But yeah,
send Sean all your abuse for not agreeing with me.
Absolutely, yeah, and for losing at rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
If anyone's got any tips there, so I can win next time. Excellent. That was your agenda. We'll be back next week.